That's why I decided to start the podcast so that I could inspire other people, especially with disabilities, and make them realize that, just because you're disabled doesn't mean that you can't do stuff.
Off Gassing, a scuba podcast with host Nick Hogel. Inspiration has a chaotic nature. Never has it been linked to things like routine or consistency. Never has it informed you of its itinerary. It shows up in the most unexpected moments. A not-so-pleasant start to a holiday would leave Curtis Connor to have a chance encounter with inspiration. An encounter that would reunite him with an activity from his past. Deadfoot Diver Podcast, adaptive diving, mental and physical benefits of diving, the journey back to the aquatic environment, treasure hunting, and much more. Please enjoy. Curtis, how are you doing this? Well, it's this morning for me and it's in the evening for you. How are you doing today, man?
Awesome, man. How about you? Thanks for having me on, Nick.
Yeah. No, I'm super excited to have you on, and it's great because I'm excited to talk about or hear more about what you have going on. Thank you for joining. And how's the weather out there right now? You guys it's supposed to get a little bit cold, you were saying?
Well, we have been under a snow squall warning for the last 2 days. We were supposed to get like 60 centimeters of snow last night. Luckily, that didn't happen right here, but like all around our area did. They had roads closed and everything. And tonight it's supposed to be a nice balmy minus 35.
I can't do that type of weather anymore. I don't even know if I've had minus 35, but yeah, I used to live in winter environments in Colorado, but I don't even think it would get as cold as it gets in your area, because it gets like some brutal cold where you're at.
Oh yeah, it'll get like minus 35, minus 45 sometimes. Luckily, the last few winters, it's been milder. We've not had near as much snow as we have this year. I mean, I spent 2 years up in the Arctic. I would rather be in the Arctic for winter than I would here, because at least it's dry cold and it doesn't kill you, even at minus 50.
And I'm sorry, and just for the listeners, where exactly are you located?
I'm actually in a little town called Paisley, Ontario, which is actually about an hour and a half south of my favorite diving spot, Tobermory, Ontario, which is famous for all kinds of shipwreck diving.
Okay. Well, my first question I wanted to ask you is, tell me how and why you became a diver. Tell me about that first breath underwater. Was it a magical moment? Was it, I absolutely hate this? Was it, this is okay, I think I could do it again? Tell me all about it.
Well, the first time I tried scuba, I was probably 7 or 8 in my parents' pool. My parents used to actually be divers a long time ago. So my dad would occasionally let me put the tank on, so I get to try it then. And I was pretty hooked right off the bat. In fact, my mother used to not like the idea of me diving at any point because I was too calm in the water. And I'm like, but that's a good thing, is it not?
Yeah, for sure. That's funny. So when did you start to progress? So just trying it in the pool, I'm assuming maybe there was no certifications. Do you remember going towards your first certification?
Yeah, actually, I didn't get certified till I was like 21. In 1991, I actually got certified, because I had to actually wait till I was out living on my own before I did any scuba stuff. So I went and got certified, and I mean, I knew I was going to get hooked right on it to begin with. I mean, I had been inspired, especially to start diving, mainly because of 3 people: John Chatterton, Gary Gentile, and Mel Fisher. And watching those guys on TV.
Okay, cool.
So I got certified in like May, and within a little over a month, I was lucky. I had enough guys to dive with that. I managed to get about 100 dives in about a month and a half. We were literally going every night after everybody was done work. We would go at 2:00 in the morning for a night dive. We would And then weekends, we did nothing but dive. We do like 6 or 7 dives in a weekend easy sometimes. Yeah, so I got hooked on it pretty quick. And then I progressed from there in by the fall of that year, actually went and got my commercial diving medical done, because in the time at Ontario, you didn't have to have a commercial diving license ticket. You could actually get in if you had somebody who was willing to hire you, as long as you had a commercial medical done. Yeah, so I did some safety and dive tender work and stuff like that. So that was cool. And then what happened in the fall of that year was Mel Fisher had a traveling show with a bunch of the treasures, and it was actually coming to Hamilton, where I was living at the time. So I was like, well, I got to go see this. There's no way I'm going to pass turning this down when it's right down the street. So I went in, got to actually meet Kim Fisher and stuff, and I can actually blame him for giving me gold fever because he was the first one to put a piece of treasure in my hand. So I held onto a gold bar, and I remember he had this other gold cross that had rubies and emeralds in it and stuff. And I remember leaving, and I was with my friend, and I said to when I was leaving, I said, I'm going to dive for him. I'm going to dive for treasure. And they're like, yeah, no way, not going to happen, right? And by the next year, like in January, February, I was actually down in Key West. I managed to get Sid Jones from Mel Fisher's guys to agree to take me on. And I couldn't even actually work as a paid employee because I was a Canadian citizen. I didn't have a work visa or anything. So he actually just took me on as a volunteer. And then I would do spare stuff on the side. And of course, if you're a diver, you know, guys always around the marina need their boat cleaned or whatever, or maintenance done on it. So I made enough money to scrape by there. I lived on the boat, so I didn't have to pay any rent. And I got to work in the lab for about 6 months. And then I got to dive on Kane's crew. So it was amazing.
Oh, that's awesome. What kind of work would you be doing there? Like in the lab, like are you out searching for treasure? Or are you like kind of helping the people? Like what type of work would you be doing?
In the lab, it was all conservation work. So I would be up cleaning cannonballs or whatever. That was the first thing he actually had me start doing, was cleaning a cannonball. I was like, oh my God, how long this takes, right? So I worked there, but the cool thing about it was working in the museum, I got to basically handle anything I wanted. I mean, all I'd have to do is say, hey man, can I see that? And they'd take it out of the case for me, right?
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, during the year there, I mean, every single day I got to handle really cool stuff, got to meet amazing people. Got to work for Mel and Dio, which was amazing, you know. And I think the coolest thing I ever did with them was one day when I was working on Kane's crew, we actually brought up a cannon from the 1733 fleet.
Oh, no shit.
And it was amazing. I will never, ever forget that day in my life, watching this cannon come up from the surface after that long a time. That is probably the coolest thing I've ever done in my life, as far as that kind of stuff goes.
Yeah. I think too, like at some point, I would think in most people's diving career or diving, you know, like them getting into diving, you kind of think about that like sunken treasure, finding treasure out there. And I've been to Florida. I know they have a shop, I believe in Key West, right? Mel Fisher. And I've been into the shop. I haven't actually like been out or seen the type of stuff that they do. And it is something that piques my curiosity so much, just the thought of finding sunken treasure. I mean, you have guys that will go out there, especially in your area, and just look for shipwrecks, or all over the world. They're just looking for, I mean, they're constantly finding shipwrecks. What'd they find? What was it? That real famous shipwreck they just found not too long ago. Jill Heinerth was a part of it. Cause I know you just spoke to her on the podcast. Oh my God. It's, I can't, I'm so bad. I'll put it in the sub notes, but just the thought of finding shipwrecks or treasure is such an appealing, it really grabs my attention. So the fact that you were able to do that, I think, is absolutely amazing. And so when they found the cannon, how did they find, are they going down there with metal detectors, or are they combing the bot? Like how, like, can you tell me a little bit of the process of like what they're doing when they're searching for stuff?
Yeah, we went out and they had some predetermined mag hits, and this cannon they had actually found a couple of days before with a magnetometer, and they verified it. And then we just went because we had done some mag sweeping like the weekend before, and we found it.
When you say mag sweeping, is that basically like metal detecting?
Yep, magnetometer, big metal detector.
Oh, okay. Like how big?
Big, like a couple of feet long, 3 or 4 feet long, depending.
Oh, no
So
shit.
depending
Okay.
on the size of it. So they're pretty big, and you just tow it behind the boat, and then it picks up all the big hits of metal.
Oh, no shit. That's like, like when I think metal detector, I just think of like the guy on the beach with like the little handheld metal detector, you know? So I didn't know. And I actually, it's funny because I think it was, I mean, this is how like much I wanted to find stuff underwater is they sell these little like, you know, they're like 100 or 200 USD metal detectors that you could bring. They're like a wand almost that you could bring under. They're not very good. I don't think I've ever found anything with it. And I know they have some really expensive ones. Like I think when I was working at the shop, they had one that was like in the 2000. I mean, I'm sure they go all the way up. Like I'm sure that they have some crazy metal detectors out there, but yeah, just the thought of it, and the magnetron it picks up a certain type of metal. Like so I feel bad. I feel like
Usually,
I'm ignorant.
usually iron,
Oh, okay,
usually
okay.
iron,
Okay, cool. And then
non-ferrous stuff.
so bringing up the cannon, I'm sure that has to be, I mean, I know it's a big hunk of metal, but I'm assuming it's a pretty delicate process to bring it up and not have it, you know, sink back to the ocean floor.
Not only that, not to get killed in the process. I was almost
Yeah.
killed twice that day.
Oh, no shit. What happened?
We got in the water, and I mean, when we went out, it was actually pretty calm. And by the time we were bringing the cannon up, there was probably 6 foot waves,
Oh,
and
no
it
shit.
was not a lot of fun. I almost had the back of the Dauntless crush me once, and then I got caught in between the Boston Whaler and the Dauntless once. So it is definitely not a dive I will forget for many reasons. Probably one of the clearest memories of a dive in my life.
Well, I'm glad that you made it out unhurt. But so what about, so you stayed down in Florida for how long?
I was down there for almost a year,
Oh,
and
okay,
then
okay.
I came back to Ontario, and then I went out to BC and did my scuba instructors at Paddy College in BC back then in 93.
How did you like that whole process going to the professional side of things?
I liked it. It was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun teaching students. I never had to worry about getting a dive buddy because I always had students that wanted to go dive with me when I wasn't teaching. It was a lot of fun. I mean, I really enjoyed teaching and working at a dive shop. I mean, it's cool to work in a dive shop. I mean, you've worked in a dive shop.
Yeah. No, I love it, man. I absolutely and you know, going almost even like leading up to the podcast, it's the same thing. Like I'd almost just be caught and not caught, but I would get into so many different conversations with so many different divers because essentially if somebody's walking into a dive shop, there's either a diver or some interest in diving, so it's super easy to just open up a conversation. It being in Texas, there's definitely a very good dive community in Texas, and the more you're down there, the more you see that it's a pretty good sized community. A lot of people would end up going, you know, just kind of doing their certification just to head to Mexico for a wedding or spring break to go down and get certified. So it was cool to meet the different types of divers that there are. You know, the holiday divers, the hardcore divers, the commercial divers, and then I wanted to ask that question. So you got into the commercial diving a little bit. How did you like that whole? Because that's obviously very different. There's like no buoyancy. You know, I mean, I know you should always have like a goal underwater, but most of the time in commercial diving, like you're either fixing something or replacing something or some sort of work is involved.
I was mostly doing topside stuff, but I did get a chance to actually dive with a helmet a couple of times, so it was pretty cool. Yeah, it was definitely a neat job. I mean, I enjoyed doing it.
How did you like with the helmet? I've never done that before, so I'm always kind of curious to how did you? It's got to be very different.
It is different, and you have a lot of weight on your head too, right? Like you don't realize how much weight you have with this stuff. I would love to actually try diving an old Mark V system.
Yeah, some of those helmets get crazy, man. I know there's like a group of collectors out there that they like to go and collect those helmets, and those things are not cheap, man. I mean, even a brand new one. Oof. It's like you talk about getting into rebreathers and stuff. That's expensive. Talk about getting into commercial diving. That's like a whole nother ballpark, man.
Yeah, it wouldn't take long to buy you a rebreather from what you're spending on commercial dive gear.
Yeah, but those guys are making pretty good money. I know some of those guys were I knew a handful of them in Texas, and they were that they would go out in the Gulf because that's a pretty big area for commercial diving, and some of those guys were pulling in a pretty penny, but they're also doing some super dangerous stuff. That's like that's no joke when it comes to that sort of diving.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, absolutely, it's pretty dangerous stuff. So.
Sorry, back to the I get sidetracked easily. So back to the instructor portion of it. How long were you doing that? You enjoyed teaching?
I did that up until around late 97 and got out of diving for various reasons. And then partially because the dive shop I went under. And also back then there was no internet, so it wasn't as easy to like find a job instructing or whatever full time. And I'm in Canada, man. We got snow. So when I got out of it, I completely got out of it. I did not even put it on a set of mask and snorkel fins until 2019 again. Okay. I was like, nope, not touching it. So I ended up getting involved in some other crazy stuff. I got involved in being part of a stock car racing team. Got involved with NASCAR a bit. That's actually how I met Greg Hilliard, who's the guest on your podcast show.
Yes,
back from NASCAR days. And it's funny because I didn't even know he was a diver until I listened to your podcast. And one day I was like, wait a sec, I know this guy's voice. I know that name. And then as soon as he mentioned the NASCAR stuff, it's like, all right, which, by the way, guys, watch my podcast because the episode with Greg, I play a really cool prank on him. So.
Oh, that's awesome. I have a random question, and literally it's just because I did watch this movie. It's a class. Like, I enjoy the movie, but I don't think I've ever actually spoken to anybody from actual that's worked in NASCAR. But did you ever like the movie Talladega Nights, or is that like completely far fetched? Is it dumb?
Oh, so no.
Is that a sacrilegious question to like ask?
Yeah, it's totally far fetched.
Oh, dude, did you enjoy the movie at all? I'm just kidding. Like, it
was funny. Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a funny comedy, right? But it's definitely not realistic as far as the NASCAR stuff goes.
Oh, I don't know why I just thought of that. I was just thinking that because I think I just watched the clip from it. But yeah, that was random thought. I just went off.
So after I finished doing the stock car racing stuff, then I graduated onto motocross.
Oh, okay. So you like speed.
At age 40.
You like going fast.
I like speed. I'm an adrenaline junkie. I mean, even when I was doing the NASCAR stuff, after that for a while, I was doing some stock car photography. And I mean, I did crazy stuff like hanging out of a pace car at 50 miles an hour to get pictures, right? With like no harness on and one hand, right? And I look back and I go like, man, I was crazy then. That's nuts.
Yeah. That's a little bit more extreme than scuba diving, man. Oh Lord. I mean, when you're young though, right? When you're young, you gotta
I was 40 when I took up motocross, man. I was 40. All because I couldn't do it when I was a kid.
Oh man. Well, depending on who you speak to, that's people would still say you're young at 40. Because I just turned 40. I'll be 42 this year, and people are like, oh, you still got years ahead of you, and I'm like, man, I feel tell my bones that tell my I'm hurting sometimes. Like, I don't jump back up as quick as I used to, but yeah. Well, so you took a long hiatus from scuba diving, what brought you back into it? Why did you decide to get back under the water again?
Well, it's funny. Last year in Cozumel, my wife and I went on a trip to the Iberostar. We got there the first day. I booked a snorkeling trip for like the second day there. And I bought some eye drops that I had an allergic reaction to in Mexico. Oh. And I actually swelled up like I was in a bar fight.
Oh, no shit.
It was bad. And that was only my first full day at the resort. So that sort of like canned my plans for a few days. So I rebooked my snorkeling trip for the Thursday, and I'm positive this was like fate now, because I went out on this charter boat. We're getting ready to load the boat. We're sitting on the boat and stuff, and they got this lady coming out. Her name was Lovey. She was, I think, late 50s, early 60s or something. And this lady actually had degenerative bone disease, had to use a walker and get help to get on the boat, and even use the walker on the boat. So they sit her down beside us, and she starts telling me that she's going for her first scuba dive in like 25 years. And I'm like, really? I never even crossed my mind about getting back into diving or anything again. And the expense of it and stuff like that too, right? Because I mean, let's face it, not a cheap sport. So the whole time when she was in the water doing her dive, though, I was like, oh my God, I was watching her. I wasn't watching the fish. I wasn't watching the turtles. I was watching her. And I'm like, oh, I'm envious, right? I mean, I got to try this again. So then she comes up from the dive, and of course, I'm sitting there and she's like telling me all the cool stuff and how awesome it was and everything and all this. So on the way back into shore, I'm like, to my wife, I'm like, all right, I got to throw a tank on again tomorrow. I'm going to talk to them when they're doing the Discover Scuba in the pool. I said, I have to. So my wife's like, yeah. So anyways, and she actually used to be a diver. She can't now. She has asthma, unfortunately, since getting COVID. But so anyways, the next day I'm in the pool, and the lady who had been on the charter boat, Lovey, and my wife were actually sitting on the other side of the pool. And I got in and went and put a tank on. And as soon as I took my first breath again, I was like, oh my God, why did I give this up? I hadn't even completely got underwater. And in fact, it was like something snapped in my brain immediately. It was like, oh my God, I got to do this again. In fact, the guy was like, okay, we're going to go down and do a partial mask clear, right? So I go down and I start doing full mask clears. I'm like, partial mask clears, right? I remember how to do all this stuff. So we do the little swim around the pool and stuff, and we come back up, and he's like, when was the last time you dove? And I said, like late 97, early 98. And he's like, do you want to go dive this afternoon? Because I'll sign you out.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Unfortunately, my flight was leaving the next day, so I didn't go do any dives. But I walked back over to my wife and Lovey, and the smile on my face was so big and so bright that my wife all of a sudden was like, you have to dive again. Absolutely. Yeah. Because she had seen me, for all you guys listening, I got injured racing motocross severely. I actually have no movement below my left leg and no feeling. I'm also blind in my left eye. And my right side is also pretty heavily pinned and plated as well. So I'm pretty restricted on movement that way. So for me, getting that breath underwater was like unbelievable. I was like free again. It was, I cannot even describe it to justify what it did for me.
Oh yeah, dude. I couldn't even imagine, just because I mean, at this point you've had a longer diving career than I've had, and I'm, because of your first run and then now your second run. But that's amazing to hear that you got back into it, seeing somebody else and just getting inspired and then just doing it. I'm real curious. So do you still have your original certification card, or is that long gone?
You know what? I had actually, it's funny, I had thrown about 3 or 4 years ago, we're cleaning through stuff in the garage. I threw out everything I have diving related because I thought there's no way I'm ever going to use this again. Right. I threw out all my dive, and I had all my dive logs. Like I had everything. I even had old U.S. Navy diver manuals and like all kinds of stuff. Right, all of it gone because I thought, yeah, I'll never dive again. Right, not a chance. I mean, it's saved my life. There's no ifs, ands about it. I went through years of depression, drug abuse, from opioids, alcohol abuse, like you name it. I came back here and started diving this year again, and it has literally changed my life beyond my wildest dreams. And I mean, from doing this podcast thing, I've started the Deadfoot Diver. It's been amazing. It's taken it to a whole nother level I wouldn't have even imagined a year ago.
Yeah. Well, I want to chat about your podcast, Deadfoot Diver, but before that, let me ask, how was it getting back into it? Did you just start diving again? Did you take up any training? Especially I would assume, just because I don't know, you're down in the tropics, it's warm weather, you get back to where you live, I'm assuming it's a lot colder. Like, how was it transitioning back into diving after so many years?
That was well, first of all, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, man, I used to do this, no problem and all that stuff. So I come back, start getting gear and all that stuff, get a dry suit and all that stuff. Cause I said to my wife, I'm like, I'm a wuss when it comes to cold, right? So
I hear you.
I'm like, man. I'm not diving in Tobermory without a dry suit, like anywhere up here without a dry suit, not happening. So, I mean, it was not only that, I had gone to the dive shop that originally certified me. The lady that now owns it actually worked there when I got certified, so I've known her for like ever. And she gave me a refresher course. And then basically I was lucky. I ran into a buddy of mine up here who's actually a dive master, was getting his dive master cert this year. And he helped me sort out a lot of gear issues because the first several dives I had, you could not classify them as dives. Yes, I drove to Tobermory. I got in the water. I did see a shipwreck, which is why I chose where I went for my first dives. Because I knew if I was going to drive up there an hour and a half and things ended in a disaster, as long as I got my butt in the water, there was a shipwreck 50 feet off the shore I could see. Okay. Yeah, like the first time I went to get in the water, I mean, I got my dry suit on and all this stuff and everything, and I actually got a BC that had integrated weights on it. I had never used an integrated weights except for down south, so I thought, okay, you know what, since this is my first time diving in a long time and I used to dive weight belt and dry suit and all that stuff, I'll just do the same thing. So I drive up to Tobermory, get all suited up, go to get in the water, can't keep a weight belt on. And I'm like, what the heck? And I'm like tightening it like crazy, right? Like trying to get this weight belt on. It's just like sliding off and all that stuff. So we end up scrubbing the dive. On the way back home, I'm calling my wife. I said, I can't even wear a weight belt. And she's like, you've forgotten you've had 2 hip surgeries. I'm like, oh yeah. Didn't even think about it. So, I mean, I had to go and I had to get weight pockets for my tank. I had to do all sorts of testing just to figure out where to get my gear sorted out and stuff. And not only that, being blind in one eye, it does throw your depth perception off a bit underwater occasionally.
Oh yeah, I can only imagine, man.
Yeah, so like I'll be going along and all of a sudden I feel like even though I'm staying perfectly normal, I feel like I'm falling all of a sudden, right? It's like I feel like I'm losing my balance. So it was not easy. I remember one time I went, I think it was the second or third attempt that we did, and it was a bit of rough water and stuff like that, and I got bounced around a bit because of I don't have very good stability, and shore diving up here sucks because it's all rock, so it's not easy to get in and out of, especially for me. I remember coming back from the first from that one. When we scrapped it, and my wife said, so did you get a bit of a healthy scare?
Those are always good.
Yes. I'm like, yeah, actually a bit. Okay, I realized I'm not like 25 anymore or whatever, right? And she's like, good. Remember that.
So, and then eventually, you just kept going. That's awesome that you kept going. I mean, that's what I love about diving is like, once you have that bug, you're hooked. You're like, I'm going to keep going. Even things are getting difficult, I'm going to keep pushing. And do you remember kind of when you got everything dialed in and then you had that like first good, okay, we're dialed in. This dive is going pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was probably about 6 or 7 dives in before I was like, okay, this is cool. Because I also, not only that, I bought used gear. So I mean, I had some issues with a used dry suit I bought leaking and stuff like that, right? So I had to get that sorted out. A buddy of mine actually sold me a semi-dry suit cheap while I was waiting to get my dry suit fixed. So I used that, and it was like, oh, okay, this is good. The water actually was warm at Tobermory this year. At least above the thermocline.
Yeah.
It was actually 73 degrees up here, which is like insane for up here. Like everybody I know who dives up here has been like, I can't believe how warm it is this year, right?
Oh man, 73, I'd be frozen, dude. I'm used to I'd be frozen. Oh man.
Yeah, it was, it was probably about 5 or 6 dives before I got comfortable. As soon as I put the semi-dry on, it was good because I really enjoyed actually doing that again. And then I had a few more dives to get myself dialed in properly with it. Because I find, especially if I add a new piece of gear or do an adjustment on something, it takes me 3 dives before I'm comfortable with it at least. And it was all with me. Like, there's no adaptive dive instructors up here. Like, not anywhere close. There's one, he is 6 hours away from me. And I didn't even find out about him till like a few months ago. And he's so booked, you can't even get in with him. I mean, he's going to be doing my side mount for me because I'm actually going to be helping him as an adaptive buddy this year. I'm going to get certified in that as well so I can help him. But there's just nobody around here for resources. So a lot of it was trying to figure stuff out on my own. Luckily, the one dive spot I went to all the times also where the dive shop did all their checkout dives a lot of. So the instructors were there all the time. So I always had somebody I became really good friends with a bunch of the instructors. So I would always have somebody I could ask or say, hey, what do you think I should do about this? Right.
I'd like to ask, so Deadfoot Diver, how did that start? Why did it start? Where did the name come from? Tell me all about the podcast, man.
Well, Deadfoot, I actually have to give credit to my son because when I raced motocross, he was bugging me to sign up for Twitter one night. And I'm like, well, I don't know what to have for a Twitter. And it's like, Deadfoot. Right? And my kid was like probably about like 12 at the time or something, right? So he came up with the Deadfoot name. And then, of course, with the scuba stuff, it just sort of carried over because I have a dead foot. And oh, believe me, man, there were many years I wanted to get rid of said foot.
Oh man, so I'm not gonna lie. When I first heard the name, so a little side note about me. I used to, and I still am. I mean, I haven't, as much anymore, but I thought it was like something Grateful Dead related. I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool, because there's the Grateful Diver out there, and I mean, there's a lot of, for people, Jerry was a huge scuba diver, and they kind of have a big. So I wasn't quite sure. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, but okay, so Deadfoot Diver, and then so why did you want to start the podcast?
I decided to start doing this because, first of all, of how much it's changed my life over the last year from scuba diving. And also the benefits of it. Like I get benefits from depression, pain. I actually noticed a big difference this year every time I went diving on my pain level afterwards, even for like days. It helped. And after seeing that lady, I made a commitment when I started diving again. I actually wanted to become an adaptive dive buddy. I wanted to do that because I will never forget what that lady did for me down south. I never want to be in a position, if I go on vacation somewhere down south or whatever, I never want to be in a position where there's somebody at that resort or whatever that just because they haven't got somebody who's certified as an adaptive buddy that they can't take somebody in the water. That's why I decided to start the podcast, so that I could inspire other people, especially with disabilities, and make them realize that, just because you're disabled doesn't mean that you can't do stuff. And the other thing is, diving has so many benefits for somebody who's disabled. And especially, they're free, especially if you're paraplegic. They're free when they're underwater. The most awesome thing about doing this podcast that I've done so far, which is even driving me even more, is the people that I've gotten to meet doing it, and even the other paraplegic divers and amputee divers and stuff like that. Talking to Jim Elliott, who I've got coming on my podcast from Dive Heart. I mean, you can't watch a Dive Heart video and not be in tears almost, and not bad tears.
Yeah, I hear you, man. It's some amazing stuff that they're doing. So, and especially to be able to bring diving, this joy that so many of us share, and to be able to expand on it and now bring it to people who had no idea or never thought they could do this sort of thing is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, diving is absolutely incredible for disabled people. I mean, I never imagined in my wildest dreams it would have such an impact on my life. And doing the podcast, it's taken it to a whole nother level. I mean, I'm getting to meet and talk to people that I like looked up to when I was originally back into diving, and I'm actually getting to talk to them all the time and stuff. It's amazing. It's it has truly turned my life around, doing this, even more than just diving itself. And I want to inspire other people to realize that, you can do this type of stuff. I'm just an average guy, average diver. I went out and did it. I mean, my wife is like, when I first told her who I was going to try and message for the first people I asked to be on my podcast, my wife was pretty skeptical, obviously, because I said, okay, well, the first person I decided to message was Greg Hilliard, because I thought, okay, I know Greg from the past, right? He knows me from back then. So, he'll be an easy one maybe to get on, hopefully, right? And then she's like, who you going to get for the second guest? And I'm like, well, go big or go home. I'm going to go for Jill Heiner.
Fellow Canadian.
Not that, she's like the mega rock star of diving. I mean, she's got over 8,000 dives. She's done it all, right?
Yeah, no, she's very accomplished for sure. So I'm just curious, starting the podcast, what did you find the most challenging thing to get it started, or was it something that just kind of rolled with the punches, or what did you find the most challenging thing about starting it?
Oh man, there were a few days where I was like, oh my God, I've bitten off more than what I can chew. I mean, I do IT for a living, but I do server support. So for me, doing all this editing and stuff like that, I mean, thank God for AI and programs like Descript and Riverside, like you and I run, because otherwise I would never have the patience to do this.
Yeah, no, they are super helpful for sure. Like it's the tools that are available now for people to start podcasts or like, yeah, I wouldn't even be anywhere near. And I'm not saying mine's the biggest podcast or anything, but it definitely made it a lot easier of a road to travel down.
So that's been a huge learning curve for me. Absolutely. And plus getting all the extra hardware and stuff and getting stuff set up. As far as getting guests, though, I've been really lucky, actually. I'm actually shocked on who I got coming on this season. And in fact, my guests, who are all like A-list guests, is what you consider in the diving community. Even they've been going like, holy smokes, yeah, you got a really good lineup for a first year of a podcast. And I'm like, yeah.
As far as, and I know you're kind of going down the adaptive route, but as far as your diving, and you also said that you were about to do some side mount. Where do you see it going in the next for 2025?
Yes, I'm actually going to get side mount certified in May, which I'm really excited about. It's funny because I never, ever imagined I would do side mount diving, not even consider it. In fact, when I started diving again, my wife had a couple of restrictions on me. First of all, no overhead, so no cave or cavern or anything like that because of my blindness and not being able to feel with my left leg, and then no rebreathers and no rec penetration. So there were basically three stipulations that she had as far as what I could or could not do. Fortunately, I met this adaptive instructor who's one of the top adaptive guys for teaching technical in the world. He's actually got a paraplegic lady that does cave. He's actually going to train me in side mount, which I'm super excited about. Plus, it's going to help me. I'm sure it's going to help me a lot with my body. Just getting in and out of the water is going to be a lot more fun when it comes to short dives, especially. And then on top of it, I'm planning on, by the end of the year, I'm going to do my advanced decompression procedures. And I'm looking at, I was just talking to him today, and I'm looking at doing my cavern and my cave intro.
How does the wife feel about that? Are the restrictions slowly?
The restrictions actually, because of him and because of my friendship with John Chatterton, basically all the restrictions except for rebreather have been lifted if it's either one of those guys teaching me.
So no rebreather, or is that something slowly going to come into the mix?
Well, actually, funny you should mention that.
Oh, that's hilarious. I love how diving does that. It's like, because I started the same way. I'll never do that. Next thing you know, you're doing it. I probably won't do that. Next thing you know, you're doing it. It's a slow progression, but that's good though. It's not like you're jumping right in, but that's amazing to hear, man. I love it.
Well, it's funny because I've been against rebreathers mainly because, they scare me to a certain extent with the maintenance and stuff involved in it, right? So, but for the podcast, I wanted to actually go and get do a rebreather training session and film it for the podcast coming up. And so Matt Manzik from Dan's Dive Shop is actually going to do a rebreather training session with me.
That's awesome. I mean, I think you're going to be hooked. You're going to be hooked. It's pretty amazing.
I think so. I mean, the thing that worries me and that worries my wife about it too is I have ADHD. So, I mean, that's what worries me as far as what I hear about all the checklists and all the stuff that you have to go through to do it, is that I'll like get excited and forget something, right? But I am actually getting very excited to try it. The other thing, before I started diving again, there were several wrecks that they found in Lake Huron that are intact schooners that are all between like 150 and like 220, several of them. And I mean, these things are sitting perfectly intact up on the bottom with the mast sticking up on them. So that was one of my things when I started diving again, was like, okay, I want to dive a couple of those wrecks. I want to see an intact schooner sitting up on the bottom with the mast sticking up. And then I was thinking, okay, I'll just eventually get trained open circuit trimix and do that, right? Until Greg was telling me on the cost of gas now and what it would cost me to do one dive with a 20-minute bottom time.
Yeah, it's no joke, man. And yeah, the gas prices are high, and I mean, it all depends. Like you said earlier, it is an expensive sport, but you got to kind of determine where you're going to put your money, and depending on what you're doing, you can kind of navigate it as best you can. So it's like either way, you're going to be spending money. So it's like which avenue are you going to go? So
yeah, for this year, I'm gonna do the rebreather training, the rebreather intro to try it, and then I'm gonna mainly concentrate on getting my side mount stuff down and getting comfortable with side mount, and then hopefully do some cave and cavern next year, which I never thought I would do ever. So I'm really excited about that. I mean, especially with my disability, I never expected I would even have an opportunity to do that type of diving again, period. So I'm really pumped about it.
Where are you going to do cave and cavern, in Florida, or?
Yeah, he usually does it down in Florida, I think.
Okay. I still have not. Well, I mean, I've been to Florida, but I've never been diving in Florida, never been cave diving in Florida. And I'll be honest, so I got trained in Mexico and I had a phenomenal time. I one of my favorite places to go. The caves in Florida kind of scare me a little bit, but that's why I need to get down there and do some diving, because Mexico is shallow, no flow, Florida, high flow, gets deep really quickly. So I think it would add be a nice tool to add to the toolkit, to be able to dive in those type of environments. So I'm pumped for you, man. That should be a lot of fun, especially trying the rebreather. I'm super excited for you, man.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how that goes. He's actually going to do it when we do it. He's going to actually let me help do the teardown and the setup of it and all that stuff to prep it, just so I get a really good idea of what I'm in for if I do decide to do this at some point.
When you decide, it's not a if,
okay.
It's a when for sure.
All gonna be depend on cash, and because as you know, rebreathers are not cheap.
Yeah, it's not for sure. It's a pretty penny.
That is probably the only piece of gear that I will ever want to buy that my wife will probably say, you're footing the bill for that one solely.
Oh, that's funny, man. That's funny. Well, and then real quick, so where can I find your podcast? Where can you listeners find your podcast? YouTube, Spotify, Apple?
Right now it's on YouTube. I just launched it a couple of weeks ago. This is actually the second week it's been up. And yeah, they can check it out on YouTube. And eventually I am going to be adding it onto all the other podcast platforms, Spotify and everything else.
Cool. So you do video with your podcast as well?
I do video with them. Yeah.
Awesome. It's something I need to get into. I need to I just do the audio, and I need to get into video. It's something that I've been telling myself since the beginning, but then I'm just like, it's going to be so much more work. So I applaud you for that, because that's definitely not an easy thing to add to a podcast. So I'm excited to see more of the episodes come out.
They will improve.
It's all a slow. It's like the diving, right? Like by your 6th or 7th episode, you'll have it down. You'll have a flow down. I'm slowly still, improving mine here and there. I mean, there's always something to work out, but that's awesome, man. I'm pumped to see that you're doing that. I look forward to, and even, excited to get how I can improve mine by watching yours, just because it's funny because there is a lot of scuba podcasts out there, but I feel like there's not. Like, I know that sounds kind of weird saying there's a lot, but there's not, because I feel like I'll see, podcasts come out, maybe they'll do a few episodes. I guess, I don't know. I should get a roundtable together. I actually said it a while back, but get a roundtable together of different podcast hosts, and we can kind of all get in the room together and just, chat about what we're doing, why we're doing it, and some of the challenges.
That would be a really good idea.
Yeah, just because it's basically we're all doing the same thing, and I mean, in our own different way, but like we're all sharing our love of scuba diving, and I think it's an amazing thing. So yeah, we should all get in a room. We should hold a forum. Maybe next year at DEMA we can all do a podcast, something. I don't know. We'll figure something out.
Yeah, for sure. If you're going to DEMA, we'll have a good time in DEMA.
I need to make it to DEMA. I have not been. I keep saying that I'll go. One of these days I will. So are you headed next year?
I was not planning on going next year. I'm hoping this year. Hopefully, this podcast is going to skyrocket. My end goal with this, hopefully, is that I can spend all my time doing this and going around and helping other adaptive divers with Dive Hard or whatever, be able to fly out, help them do a course or whatever, and help their guys for the week. So I was not planning on going to DEMA this year. However, two of my guests coming on, Michael Menduno, and legendary tech diver.
Oh yeah, I mean the tech diver.
Exactly. Him and Bill Nato have convinced me that I need to go to DEMA this year. So
oh yeah,
I'm going to DEMA
now. Yeah, you gotta go now. And I think it would be amazing too to go. Obviously, it'd be hard to bring like a whole podcast setup, but you could bring lapel mics. You could probably get so many great interviews there. Just the amount of people that go there, the legends, so it's definitely a place that's why I'm like, I need to make it there at some point in time. But living in Malaysia, it's just like, that's a long flight just to go for a few days. But maybe I can plan it around some other stuff. We'll see what happens.
Plan it. So what you do when you plan it, you let me know that you're coming for sure, and then we'll plan a couple extra days where we can go down to the Keys and dive.
Yeah, that does sound like a plan. Although to be honest, I would probably want to go diving in your area, your local area, more than I would want to go to the Keys. There's some shipwrecks to see where you're at.
Dude, you have a free place to stay anytime you want to come and dive with me. You just pick up the phone and text me and let me know.
Oh yeah, you might find me knocking on your door next time. I'll be like, all right, let's go to Dima, and then we'll do some ship, and then I'll have to hit up Greg too, because he's a funny guy. I'm actually super happy.
Greg's charter boat is on the way to Tobermory.
Oh,
it's
okay.
literally like you have to pass by Greg's marina to go to Tobermory. So
yeah, there's a plan. I have to start planning the trip now for sure. All right, man. Well, let me ask you one last question before I let you go. And it's kind of a two-part question. So, answer however you want to, but two parts. So you can answer one at a time or answer kind of both at the same time. So for somebody that has taken a long hiatus, for somebody that has taken a long break from diving and wants to get back into it, but also at the same time, somebody that might be facing the adaptive challenges, what is the best piece of advice that you could give to those people or that person who wants to get back into it? It's been a long time, or they're, facing the adaptive challenges. They want to get into it, but they're not quite sure. What are the best pieces of advice that you could give to that person?
Talk to somebody for sure who's like, even if they want to reach out to me through my podcast and talk to me, I'll be glad to talk to them. But I would say for sure, talk to your dive shop. It's harder sometimes as an adaptive diver to get an instructor in your local area that works with adaptive divers. I mean, it's becoming better in certain areas, but especially down in the States, it's a lot easier than up here per se. So I would say that's the biggest thing. And, don't rush it. And just what I suggest is do what I did. Try and find a place that's, a shallow dive or something that's got something really cool to look at, that no matter what happens, you're still going to have a good time, right? And then just realize, don't get frustrated that it's just going to take some time to adjust your gear out, because every single adaptive diver is going to have totally different ways of setting stuff up. And not only that, talk to instructors, because even if they're not an adaptive instructor per se, they still probably have some good ideas on what you can do to get around with your gear and how to fix it.
Awesome, man. I absolutely love it. That is an amazing answer. And Curtis, I want to say Curtis, but I see it's Kurt. Do you go by Curtis or Kurt? I should have asked. Okay, Kurt, sorry. I should have asked.
I go by Kurt usually, yeah.
Okay. Well, Kurt, I absolutely appreciate you coming onto the podcast today. Thank you so much for joining, and it's amazing to hear about your journey, to see the podcast you're starting. I look forward to more episodes. I mean, it like you said, you have an A-list roundup of stars coming out, so it's going to be absolutely exciting. But thank you very much for joining the podcast today.
Well, thank you very much for having me, man. It's been a blast.
Off-gassing, a scuba podcast.